Episode 48.
Dude, we're getting close to 50.
Ooh, shit.
It's coming quick.
Yes, we got to get in the planning stages for 50.
Yeah, and then 100 after that. We got to think of something crazy for 100, Will. What do you think? Hot air balloon?
That'll be a big one.
Maybe underwater, take one of those Titanic things down there.
Yeah. We'll figure out something fun.
Yeah, we'll get fun for that one.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Heck yeah.
I'm always excited about the ones where we're sitting down with another designer or creative or whatever.
Totally. And to me, there's kind of some levels. There's like the peers, and then there's, above and below. Yeah. These dudes for me are legends. These are guys I always looked up to. You can make it in this industry even as you get older. Like when I started, my dad's like, oh, dude, good luck when you get older. But it's like, it can work. These guys are living proof.
So it is Jason and Doug from Morning Breath.
Totally. Yep.
Is who we are excited to sit down with and chat with today. So
legends.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. Guys, Jason, Doug, you there?
Right on. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Known about you forever, way back, but met you for the first time in person at Crop back in, I think it was 2018 or something.
Yeah, pretty hyped just to see your guys' names on the list. We were already going to be there, so it's like, we got to have a couple beers with these dudes.
That's the best part about stuff like those Crop things. You get to meet people that you've known about, and meeting in another city that at that point I'd never been to Baton Rouge before, so it was cool to kind of meet up with you guys there and hang out a little bit. And it's a shame we're on different coasts that we can't hang out more often, but I guess this is where technology comes in.
I don't know where we're starting off, but we have a spread open right here. I'm a hip hop head here. So we got this book. We got some classic logos. I know you guys are familiar with these logos here. Personally, I would like to start off with this stuff. We do see Jay-Z, Eminem, like that. Those are big names, but you got Talib Kweli, Beautiful Struggle on there. That's some good stuff. So
I guess, how'd you guys get involved in like the music industry and stuff like that, and some of those projects?
Prior to being with Morning Breath starting, I worked for a company called the Drawing Board, and the Drawing Board was owned by Say Adams, who's a graffiti writer from New York City, who is a classic old school New York guy who's done a lot of art and all kinds of design, and so he's got a long history. And anyway, I went up worked for him, which they were the in-house art department for Def Jam Records.
I was doing music at that time, music design and packaging, more for kind of an underground scene. A lot of like the DJ scene in the mid to late 90s was really taking off, and I was doing a lot of work specifically with DJ Qbert and those kind of surrounding that camp, as well as a few small local labels doing, all their illustration design work, as well as working on an animated project.
In some ways, I think when we started Morning Breath, we combined those two worlds. It was like things he were doing, things I were doing. And, I would also, when I was at Def Jam, would hire Doug for things, and I would figure out ways of getting jobs together that we could work on together, because we were so used to working with each other doing skateboards. At that point, I had walked away from doing skateboarding. It was like a new chapter in my life, doing music packaging. And it was opening up all these new doors about print and about different ways of printing things. Because prior to that, everything we did was silk screening. So here I am now doing in the music world, and it was all about CMYK and spot varnishes and die cuts and all this other fun stuff that I was learning about that I didn't really know about, because when I was at the skateboard company, we would never do stuff like that. At that point, skateboarding was at a more infant, level of not spending a lot of money on things. And so when I got to Def Jam, by that point, it was so exciting to be around an environment where the budgets were unstoppable. And at that point, music was booming and the money was there. And so there were $1 million hype William videos, and music packaging had the biggest budgets. If I told you the budgets I had during those years, your jaw would drop. And because we still do music to this day, and we don't get anything like those budgets. So that was an exciting time for me. And I think, again, going back to how that's kind of what got Morning Breath started, was doing music packaging.
I would say graphic design is the fifth element of hip hop. So the fact that, you guys have a bunch of, heavy hitters in your portfolio and in your bag is pretty sick.
Let's go back real quick for a second to Think. So you guys met at Think in SF, right?
Yeah, that was, I guess, mid-90s. Jay was there working with Mike Giant about a year before, maybe a little over a year before I arrived.
Well, I'm known professionally as Mike Giant.
Mike Giant in his own, obviously, has done a ton of work and has much respect out there. I was coming from an illustration background and didn't, at that point, know much about graphic design. And obviously, Jay was had his background and his foundation in graphic design. And I think the kind of sharing of information and collaborating in a way that was incorporating design and illustration was, that was the beginning of kind of like the Morning Breath seed before we had even got off and started Morning Breath. At that point too, San Francisco was kind of opening up as kind of this like cross, bi-coastal cultural hub. A lot of people from New York were living in San Francisco at the time, a lot of kind of emerging artists. There was, graffiti itself started taking this move into kind of a more serious place with people like, Barry McGee was, really starting to shine at that point. And a lot of people wanted to be in San Francisco. And it was like, there was this connection that was starting to happen with a lot of people that are now, relatively famous artists that were all in the inner circle. Everybody was kind of hanging out and, had the spots on, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, where all go out drinking. And it was definitely kind of a, creative exchange of, information and everyone kind of talking about what was going on with music at that time and the art and, computer graphics was just kind of, becoming a thing that people were taking an interest in and just kind of learning about the possibilities of what this new technology could offer.
We weren't the traditional side of that graphic design. We're more like graphic artists, and like drafting tables and equipment that goes into that and razor blades and inks and getting your hands dirty and creating things with your hands. So I think, and to this day, we're that way. So I think that we embrace that, and it's kind of who we are as a whole.
It's rad to see that you guys, transitioned at one point and kind of can go back and forth, which is super cool.
Yeah, I mean, even that that hands-on approach that you guys have really gives you a big point of difference, especially as the future goes on with Procreate and the iPad and all the shit. So I love it.
Obviously, there's kind of, always like this reoccurring kind of lo-fi quality in our work. And I think that we've always been attracted to that kind of, printing techniques of the past or when things weren't so perfect. And I think that pretty much, has informed our work over the years and has made us kind of, like you said, kind of accept the imperfections, but not just accept them, but just kind of, actually like them, like the aesthetic of them.
If you guys had to say vector or raster between the two, is there one or the other that you guys would lean towards?
Yeah, we naturally lean towards, rasterized images. A lot of our work, starts with scanned images, whether it's, found imagery or illustrations and, completed in Photoshop. But, vector has its place too. I mean, they're two different approaches, and some are more appropriate for, different applications.
So I think what always drew me to you guys so much is the work and, that it is done so raw and everything, but also the fact that you guys, Jason, you're the designer, Doug, you're the illustrator, and that you guys work together to make basically these designs, this artwork, whatever that end product is. Like the best projects that come out of the studio are ones that one of our illustrator started working on, did the illustration part, it's handed over to the designer to basically take that to final, add the type, whatever it is, whether it's a skateboard deck or a poster or whatever. Some of the best stuff that comes out of the studio are when an illustrator and a designer get together.
It's kind of like, I don't know, we always compare it to being in a band where there's a drummer, singer, guitarist, and it becomes a song. And that's kind of where we are at. And, because we've been working with each other for so long.
We don't view everything we do as so precious. It's kind of, it's done. It's on to the next. It's kind of, we're not so worried about any one project because we know that in the course of a year, over several years, how many more projects we're going to create. And there's going to be enough room between all of it for any of our tastes to kind of be, fulfilled with that.
Don't lock in too crazy onto one thing and let go a little bit. And I feel like a lot of people listening to this will probably get something out of that part specifically.
Yeah, like you said, there's always going to be another project. At some point you got to call it done and move on.
Just keep it moving. It's kind of like, just move on.
This, I want to talk a little bit about your guys' books. I love your books, and this, the early bird one, I got this thing back way back, 2006, 2007. This was kind of a big inspiration for me. coming out of DC and kind of doing my own studio and stuff, this thing was amazing.
The format alone is
just
so
the
sick.
kind of children's book kind of size and format and perfect bound. Like this thing's always been like top of my bookshelf. And then to see you guys come out with this was what, 2 years ago now, probably 2 or 3, your big book, which is amazing. How did that all come about? Like how much did you guys have to do in any of the layout? Was that a pain in the ass? Like we make our own, kind of in-house books here. And I know what goes into laying out a book and that whole process. How was that for making that book and going back, collecting all the old shit? And that's always a chore.
We did not design the big book. We designed the small book.
No, we had maybe gave a few, samples of the aesthetic we were going for. And it's funny, like when you work with certain publishers and their designers, sometimes you get the sense that people want to really over design. They want to put textures on every page and they want to ghost some of your images in the background. And we just don't want any of that. We just wanted a very clean, simple presentation of our work and just let the work kind of, sit isolated alone without any of the extra bells and whistles.
What I love about it is it shows that whole breadth of work, from the analog work to the music work and the album covers and everything. You get the whole sense of what you guys have done, which is rad.
The first chapter of that book that, we kind of focused on the music part of Morning Breath, which was interesting because when we started Morning Breath, as a business, that was the bread and butter. We weren't at that moment doing much personal work. We weren't silk screening as much. We weren't painting for ourselves. We were just kind of focused on the day-to-day, project of these commercial 95% music projects. And what that did is, it did a couple things. It was financially, it was great. So it afforded us, the ability to have, a huge studio in New York and to kind of, have, the financial freedom of being able to do what we want, but we still weren't quite, there with that yet. And I think a couple years into it, I think we started to focus more on our own personal work and kind of still doing music and still making money that way, but also using our spare time and definitely maybe not even spare time, because I remember nights of working well into working a full day and then working till 2 a.m. on paintings just to get things done that we wanted to do. And that's really, by making the move into kind of venturing more into our personal work is really what kind of set off a commercial life for ourselves that started incorporating our own aesthetic. Because prior to that, like I'm saying, with the first chapter, you look at it and it's all dictated by the label or by the bands. And it was all personal to the music, not personal to us. And I think that by doing our own work and showing our own work, it's instead of getting us more, kind of fine art opportunities, it actually expanded our commercial opportunities to let us do what we want to do.
And then also, I think we have always said that, show what you want to get. And we started learning that more and more. Whatever we show is what we get more of. Yeah,
it's cool. And you guys are being hired to do your style for larger companies. And
yeah, I think it started kind of, fulfilling us. And so we started doing maybe even less paintings at that point because we were doing more commercial work that started becoming more fine art to us. And then we were also, at that point, there was a wave where we were getting artist series where we were putting our name on stuff. We have putting our name on Coke bottles. And now you're doing things where now your name is a part of the product itself. And so that became a wave of stuff we were doing, which was interesting as well.
Yeah, it's almost like the ultimate, when you are getting a product that is, the Morning Breath, Coke bottle or whatever it is. Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah, that's definitely the end goal, I'd say, for pretty much every one of us in the field,
Yeah.
So, hell yeah.
It's sad, you kind of talk about the music industry and then the skateboard industry, I'd say, as well. Two, industries that I think a lot of designers, would love to work in and kind of strive to work in these industries. And over the last, 15, 20 years, like you said, the budgets are just gone, for the music industry. The skateboard industry is ridiculous. It's almost tough to make a living working in either of those industries anymore as a designer.
Things have shifted. It's funny because, to age ourselves a little bit, we're currently busy with a lot of music projects again, but many of them are, 20th anniversaries of projects we did, 20 years ago.
Like, and the funny thing is, the people that are involved in it, they don't realize that, sometimes they don't realize that we're the ones who did it. But big part of it is like, they ask us more about the project than they know because they're new to the band. And we're like, what was it like back then? Like, it's kind of funny. So.
Yeah. So what I know you probably can't talk about a lot of what, projects are on your plate and this and that, but what do you have coming up, or where are you guys headed in 2023?
Been interesting for us, and even the name of the book being By the Skin of Our Teeth. I mean, sometimes it feels that way. It's like, just when you feel like things have slowed down and you're not, getting the calls and the work that you need, things start, the flood comes in and you get busy again. And I think that year after year, we've been fortunate for sure to have the work come in without very much, effort on our part to get the work other than continuing to produce work. I mean, I think that our work itself gets us work, but we don't do any sales. We don't call anybody. We've tried a few times, and it's just that avenue's never really worked for us.
We have no support financially. We have no,
we don't have a rap.
We have nothing. It's like, we're just two dudes, like, trying to figure, get it working. And we've been very fortunate.
That being said, I think that, this end of the last year has, kind of been good to us in the sense that it's secured a lot of work for us for the upcoming months. So, it feels good going into a new year, knowing that we have a lot of projects, things that'll get us, through most of the year, and having that secured right in January is like something that definitely kind of eases any stress that comes from, being independent contractor with this kind of work.
Yeah. New stuff. We've been doing more animation, not us physically, but we've been doing the key art for some animation that we've been working on with a beer company. We have about 4 or 5 music packages, kind of crazy enough, that have come into our hands that are actually big names. A lot of gig posters.
Yeah, some gig posters. We're doing a lot of kind of internal asset branding for unnamed shoe company.
In the design industry, it's like, basically you need to set yourself up for the future. You need to do good work with good people, be good to those people, and it'll all come back around. They'll hire you again. They're going to leave whatever it is, Nike, and go somewhere else, and then give you a call in 3 years,
Yeah, we always say that a lot of our success is based on our community. We've been very fortunate that a lot of great people have been around us that have gone on to do a lot of great things. And these are friendships we had prior to their developments. And like ourselves, we came from a certain core of a crew, and they kind of went out and did a bunch of things. But through the years, I can connect dots to, like you said, like we were doing stuff for Stussy. That dude went to Nike. We started doing stuff for Nike. That guy went on to, it just kind of goes. And the same way we're growing, other people around us are growing. And we've always been kind of had the connections, whether it's this guy was art director, a woman was an art director at a record label. They're now at this record label. And so their Rolodex goes with them. And so we've gone through the years in that way as well, with that type of, community.
He just said Rolodex.
You guys probably got a Rolodex there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a phone book.
Yeah.
I just got a phone book at my house last night, and I was like, show my wife, what the hell is this? Yeah.
That's great. I saw something new from you guys, Morning Breath Club. What's going on with that?
I guess, that's just really us kind of, at a very grassroots level, putting together a little merchandise program for ourselves. I think that we always wanted to do something like that, but at the same time, it's like, want to be clear that we're not trying to be a streetwear company or compete on, in the trade shows or any of that sort of thing. We just want to put out things that we personally like and would even wear ourselves, and just make that available. And, talking about it yesterday with you about the idea of like, you get out of something what you put into, and we're hoping that it's over the years we could kind of, baby steps into growing that, and kind of, not just growing the line more, but diversifying on what exact products we have, getting away from it just being, the basics, apparel, t-shirts, hats, and prints, and getting into things that are a little more, custom made, and, just, design objects and things that we personally would just like to have ourselves and make it available for others.
I mean, you guys make tees and hats, I'll buy them. So.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, let me know when those tees are live, and industry's doing a lot of the printing, it sounds like, and I mean everything they touch is quality. So
yeah, I mean we definitely have a good relationship with Tony over at Industry, and this is kind of it's somewhat of a joint venture. We're not just having them do it; we're partnering with them so that they can also kind of take some charge and be a part of this with us.
Well, cool, fellas. We're stoked to sit down and chat with you guys. I'm gonna try and pop into your area here in the next couple weeks. I'm gonna be in New York, so I want to come by and say hi.
Definitely, if you could make the time, man. I'd love to hang out and catch up.
I'd love to see the studio.
The only other thing we didn't talk about, we won a Grammy.
Oh,
whoa!
Have you ever seen the video of us?
No, we got to pop that up.
We won a fucking Grammy.
Hell yeah!
Best music package design of the year.
For what? What package?
For Desert Sessions, which is a Queens of Stone Age side project where he goes out in the desert and makes a record. And we totally didn't expect it. If you Google the video, you'll see we did not expect it, and it's hilarious.
Yeah,
we were like literally during COVID, so we got nominated once before. And we went to the Grammys and we lost, and then we went another time. It's not in the book. And then we went another time. No, we got nominated again, and we didn't think we were going to win. We was like, oh, it's a scam. No one wins kind of thing. And then we won, and we literally we were like in a studio because it was during COVID, and it's like in a video. And we're just like drinking beers, and we're like, all of a sudden you're on TV.
Oh,
like,
shit.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure
beers.
You could YouTube, I guess, our names and Grammy. And
we'll find that video and pop it up there. So they basically cut to you guys at the studio, and we're like, hey, you won.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And the Grammy goes to Doug Cunningham and Jason Noto for balls 11 and 12.
Everybody else had the perfect environment, the perfect lighting. They were wearing suits. They were just like
They had their gold records and
we just came to the studio like it's another day.
Yeah, we were like this, like we had beers. We were just drinking beers, and then they said our name, and I literally was like, oh shit, like fucking what?
Thanks, Academy. Jay, you want to hit up on?
Yeah, thank you, the Academy. Thank you, Kristen Welsh from Sam. Thank you, Josh Homme from Queens, and all the Desert Session people, and
folks at Matador Records, and we're super excited. It's awesome. Thank you.
That's huge.
That's massive. I mean, there's a bunch of other design awards, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you got to pay to submit, pay to get the award. It's a good scheme on their end, but yeah, the fact that you guys got a Grammy is fucking massive.
Cool. Well, we won't take up any more of you guys' time. I'm glad we got to reconnect again. We'll have to get together for sure. Hang out in person.
Yep. Thank you guys. Having us on, man. Looking forward to seeing it.
Absolutely. We're going to continue to follow you guys and watch Morning Breath and everything. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, you guys are legends. Been a big fan for a long time. So yeah, to chat again is huge.
Thank you.
All right, fellas. Have a good day. All right, so that was cool.
Yeah,
they wrapped it up with their hey, we won a Grammy.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh shit,
big flex.
Okay, yeah, so let's hear about this. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So like I told them, well deserved on that. So cool.
Yeah, they need to have that thing on blast. You know what I mean? Like, or build a replica and make that thing massive, or do something cool
in the studio. Yeah.
But yeah, they always say, it's like be careful meeting your heroes and stuff like that. And these guys do not fall in that bucket. Super cool, super easy to talk to. Almost feel like a peer at that point to me. It's like just hanging out with one of the homies. Yeah, just cool dudes all around.
Yeah. All right, so I think we have some comments from the last episode. So let's see what those are.
Hell yeah.
Chris Johnson writes, "This project is mind-blowing to me as someone who is more on the type and traditional side of branding. Seeing the scope of it shows how much work went into it all. Love it."
There was a lot of pieces to that project.
And there's a lot of projects that are that way that you don't realize there might be the borders, patterns, and blah, blah, blah that maybe we're only kind of marketing the main assets, but it's pretty common to have tons of pieces in. Even that Tony Hawk capsule or that style guide, there was even more pieces that didn't ended up getting shown.
Yeah, there was that whole apparel guide that you did, and there was like an adult one and kind of younger. So yeah, there are a lot of projects with a lot of pieces, whether it's branding, illustration, packaging, kind of the whole deal. So, and those are the projects that are fun. We talked about with these guys, like when you can get an illustrator and designer together to work on a project, that's where the magic happens,
Yeah, it's really just like this yin-yang effect, you know what I mean? And it kind of combines and goes to one. I mean, unless you're a superhero, you typically, if you're good at illustration, maybe whatever else is lacking and vice versa. So if you can just use the best of both, it's going to make the better piece in the end. And they're, proof of that.
Yeah.
Jesse Taylor writes, where those Lincoln fingerboards at?
Shout out Jesse Taylor, made us some fucking dope fingerboards. What's up, Jesse? Thanks for the packages. Sick. I hope this is the Vans keyboard. Oh, shit.
Oh, dang.
Holy shit.
Skateboard with my face.
Oh my goodness.
Damn.
Bring that camera down here.
That is
Bring
sick.
that camera.
Everybody got their own logo? Yep. Own pro model.
Okay.
Sick. That's dope. Hell yeah.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
This is something personally I would like to try to figure out how to get into production. How do we get 40 boards made that we could sell to, the community? Yeah, we need to get some Lincoln fingerboards made up. Totally. We're going to give Jesse all the credit. That was his idea. Yeah, he's got some fun ideas out there.
He does. Yep. Yeah. It's we'll try and make that happen at some point.
Yeah, I found on Etsy they have some molds. We can buy some plies and some molds and press our own boards, but it's going to be some work.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Firo Man writes, that is one of the best feelings, seeing your design out in the world.
It is when you finally see the final product out in the world.
It's always so far removed from when you created it. Typically, it's like a year or 2 or 3 down the line. So if anything, it's definitely the coolest, but it's almost a shock of like, oh, it made it. Because there's a lot of times we make so many things that don't make it out into the world, and even it was chosen. You think it's coming out, but you don't ever see it. So
yeah, you can't find it or whatever, or like with doing style guides and things like that. Some of that stuff, a lot of it gets used, but it's used in different places by different companies. So
could be in different regions of the world. You know what I mean? That we're not there. So yeah, to see it, it's super cool. Definitely anytime we go to, the grocery store, Target, Walmart, got to go down all the aisles to just check it out and see, did we get lucky? Did something else come out that we're not aware of? And typically Dan will then go and buy, a good amount of whatever those things are.
Mark B writes, when do we get tutorials, either free or paid?
2023.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we have some stuff in the works. So there'll be some of that educationals.
Totally. Yeah, if there's any tutorials specifically that you guys would like to see, pop it in the comments.
Yeah, please do.
Maybe you want to see how to make a, weird brush in Illustrator. Maybe you want to know how to change the shape dynamics of a brush in Photoshop, or who knows what, but let us know if there's anything specific.
Yeah, we're open to ideas, but there's some stuff in the works.
We're working on it.
All right, so that's a wrap on Morning Breath.
Fun times, dude. We gotta get the legends in here.
We do.
I'm gonna put it out in the universe. We need that whole alumni. We need freaking Benny Gold.
Yeah.
We need Bobby Hundreds. Where you at? We need you, Jeff Staple.
Yeah.
Maybe some Dave Cho.
David Cho.
I'm trying to get the whole Upper Playground alumni on here. So
that would be amazing. We got the big old Upper Playground. The book here.
Love that shit. That was my era. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We got Skateboard Mayhem book is out on the website, so grab that, check it out. All the skateboard graphics we've done, or a portion of them over the last almost 20 years. So
hell yeah, the link's in the description.
Yep.
And yeah, shit. Until next time.
Yeah. Click that like and bell,
subscribe, and all
that deal.
Do the clicking.
Yeah. See ya.